They would rise from the gutters of America's greatest cities. Through corruption, violence, and genuine charm, the Irish mob rules the underworld.
I'm only mad!
For over 150 years, they would battle the mafia,
You tell me that kind of done!
the government, at times each other, and a nation will be drenched in blood. In the age of the Mafia Don, the powerful Russian Mafia, and the Latin American narco trafficante, who would believe that the oldest criminal group pilfering and plundering the stars and stripes is the Irish mob.
The legacy of the Irish mob really is that it created a framework that became the foundation of organized crime in the United States. So many people think that it began with the Italian mafia in the United States, but we see now that that's not true, that it began with the earliest formations of the Irish mob in places like New York and Chicago and Boston, and it continued and even grew throughout the 19th century and into the 20th century.
But unlike La Cosa Nostra's famed organized structure of dons, capos, and soldiers, the Irish mob is made up of lone wolves who operate on a local level.
The Italians were probably smarter in that sense. They built in all sorts of buffers between the top guy and the bottom. The Irish guys, I think, were more flamboyant. You know, most of them, I think, had this sort of real sense of, you know, they were tough guys and they were willing to prove it with their fists. You know, they weren't hiding behind 20 different guys and layers of protection.
There's a certain dark side to the Irish. Any group that has been kept down for as many years as the Irish were kept down in Ireland, there's a certain rage and a certain anger that only comes out of repression, and we can tap into that. And when you get a guy who can really tap into it, he can do some serious damage.
And in its entire brutal history, no mobster does more damage than a good old-fashioned Irish gangster from South Boston. The highest-ranking organized crime figure on the FBI's 10 Most Wanted list, James Whitey Bulger.
No one called him Whitey. It was Jimmy. And certainly didn't call it to him to his face. No way. No. You didn't do it.
Fairy tale out in the Boston area was what he was like Robin Hood. He was robbing from the rich and giving to the poor, and it was so opposite of what he was actually doing. But he was very good at putting out that image.
Merry Christmas. Thanks a lot.